welcome to Own It, an open and honest conversation about what it takes to find, start, and create your own business. In today's episode, we're going to talk about creating wealth and what I like to call the oil well theory. So my name is Page Nicol with FranNet, and for the past 40 years that I've been involved in franchising, people often ask me, Page, how'd you get started? What was the impetus behind you getting into franchising? What was the catalyst that happened? And I love to tell this funny little story. So back in high school, my dad and I were driving up the 405 freeway on our way to Los Angeles. And for any of you who know that area, there's a little area off the freeway called Signal Hill. And there's actually quite a few oil derricks there, and they're still there to this day. So as we were driving up, my dad pointed over to one of the oil derricks and said, "Your grandfather owns that." And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And he said, "Every time that arm goes up, your grandfather makes a penny." And I was like, well, that doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound like a lot of money. He said, "Yeah, I know that's not a lot of money, but you got to remember that arm goes up 24 hours a day, 365 days a year." And I'm like, okay. And so he said, if you want to create your own oil well, one of the best ways to do that is to start a business. And most importantly, a business that doesn't require you to be there on a full-time basis. And if you get that one up and running and is independent of you, then you can go open another one and another one and another one. So back in 1987, I got my start into franchising with a company called Mailboxes Etc. Back then, you now know it as the UPS store. And once I got that first location in San Diego up and running, I went on to build and develop 65 more. So I had all these little oil wells creating income, even though I wasn't there on a daily basis. And that became kind of my impetus, if you will, for helping my clients build wealth. So many of my clients are only interested in opening one unit, and that's totally fine. And hopefully you can get that business just like my grandfather's oil well, where every time that arm goes up, you're making money. And those that want to scale and grow something larger, then we can look at more units or possibly different franchises to grow into. So one of the things I ask my clients when I first start working with them is, what do you want this business to do for you? What are your goals? And oftentimes they'll say, well, I want to make money, or I want a good return on my investment. And I said, okay, that makes sense. What else? What else is important to you? So sometimes they'll say, Paige, I'm kind of done with my job. I'm looking for a corporate exit strategy. How can I get out of my corporate job and parlay that into opening my own business where I can make as much money as I'm making now and hopefully more? I have other people that say, well, what I really want to do is I want to build wealth. I want residual income. I want a secondary source, and maybe they want to build their portfolio. So they're looking for a strategy where they can open one or more businesses so they can start diversifying their portfolio. So it's not all dependent on the financial markets or real estate, or in some cases, their job. And oftentimes they're wanting to build equity. They're wanting to build a legacy. They're wanting to create more work-life balance and maybe have more freedom. So when I'm sitting down with my clients and we're going through all these things that they're looking for, I usually ask them, what are the most important ones? If this business could do anything for you, what would you hope it would do? And from there, then we start to build a model. What does the ideal business look like for you? And with the over 300 companies I represent, I match them up with specific companies that fit that model, and then I help them do research. So in essence, what I'm doing is I'm helping them find a way to build oil wells, but build oil wells through business ownership, create wealth through business ownership. So I'm hoping the concept of owning your own oil well, in other words, opening and owning your own business, appeals to you. So if you'd like to learn more how I do that, the companies I work with, what my strategies are, and let me know a little bit more about what you're trying to accomplish, I'd be happy to help. So when this episode is complete, just click on the information there, connect with me. We'll set up a 15-minute phone call or Zoom meeting, and I can answer all your questions. So thank you very much for joining us for this episode today of Own It.